The unshakable signs. You were once burned for your power. Have you ever felt a deep, inexplicable fear of being seen, even when there's nothing to hide? Do you find yourself drawn to the mystical, the healing, the hidden knowledge of ancient times but hesitate to speak openly about it? Maybe you've always sensed a strange familiarity with rituals, herbs, moon cycles, or divination. Or perhaps you've had recurring dreams of fire, of persecution, of being silenced, and you don't know why. What if these aren't just quirks or coincidences? What if you're carrying echoes from a life you once lived, where you were punished for your power? In today's video, we're diving into one of the most quietly asked questions in the spiritual community. Was I a witch in a past life? And more importantly, what does that mean for me now? We'll explore this through the lens of Buddhist wisdom, reincarnation, karmic memory, and spiritual trauma, offering both insight and healing for those who feel they've carried something ancient and sacred through the fires of history. You'll learn how signs of past life persecution may still live in your body, your relationships, your fears, and your gifts. This is not just a story about witches. It's about awakening the part of you that once had to hide. It's about reclaiming the wisdom you were once condemned for. So if you've ever felt like you're walking this modern world with ancient eyes, stay with me, because what you're about to discover might finally explain the strange things you've always felt and give you the peace to stop hiding your magic. The karma of being burned. Why past life trauma still affects you. In Buddhist thought, karma is not punishment, it's momentum. It's the energetic imprint of our actions, intentions, and even our suffering across lifetimes. When a soul experiences intense trauma, especially trauma tied to spiritual expression, like being persecuted for healing, divining, or communing with nature, that imprint doesn't just vanish, it lingers. Imagine a life where you were wise, intuitive, and brave enough to speak truths others feared. And for that, you were betrayed, ostracized, maybe even executed. That memory, especially if it was emotionally charged, becomes a karmic echo. And echoes don't just fade, they ripple forward. You might feel it today as a fear of public speaking, a reluctance to share your spiritual beliefs, or a strange anxiety around being too much for others. Why does your heart race when you talk about energy healing? Why do you second-guess your inner knowing, even when it proves accurate time and again? Could it be that your soul remembers what happened last time? Buddhism teaches that samsara, the cycle of birth and rebirth, is not random. We return with the seeds we planted before. If you were once a healer or mystic, that energy doesn't disappear, it's reborn with you. But so is the pain. Mini takeaway. The anxiety you feel around your spiritual gifts might not be yours alone. It could be inherited from your soul's past self. And here's where the power lies, because awareness is liberation. When we recognize these feelings not as flaws, but as sacred residues of past wisdom, we begin to reframe our fears. That tension in your throat, it might not be social anxiety. It might be a voice once silenced trying to speak again. If this idea speaks to your journey, give this video a like so it reaches others who need it. Even modern psychology supports this. Intergenerational trauma, epigenetics, and somatic memory all suggest that unhealed pain travels through time, biologically, emotionally, and energetically. But unlike inherited trauma from family lines, past life wounds are carried by your own consciousness, which means you also hold the key to their release. What if your path now is not just healing but remembering? And what if you're not being haunted by your past, but being called by it? Not all memories wear names or dates. Some live in sensations, aversions, longings that have no clear origin. And for those who suspect they were once persecuted for their wisdom, the signs often hide in plain sight. You might be surprised how many of these show up in your life. One of the most common is an irrational fear of authority, especially religious or governmental figures. You might feel tense around law enforcement, strict hierarchies, or even judgmental spiritual leaders without ever having had a negative experience. That fear? It might be a soul memory of being accused, tried, or condemned by such powers. Then, there's the fear of fire. It could be a deep unease near open flames, an aversion to heat, or even recurring dreams of burning. Historically, countless accused witches were executed by fire. The terror of such a death imprints deeply on the soul and can carry into future lives as unexplained dread. Another sign? A profound love for nature, but also a feeling of sorrow or reverence in wild places. Many who were once herbalists, midwives, or shamans feel drawn to forests, rivers, and moonlight with a kind of homesickness. It's not just aesthetic, it's ancestral. Mini insight, that magnetic pull you feel toward nature might not be just a hobby. It could be a call to reconnect with an ancient path you once walked barefoot. There's also a tendency to stay quiet. Many carry the unconscious belief, if I speak, I'll be hurt. So you hide your spiritual interests, your intuitive gifts, your ability to sense energy. You play small, safe, but the irony, you also feel frustrated by your own silence. That's the paradox of a soul that remembers both power and punishment. Others experience strong emotional reactions to symbols, pentagrams, black cats, cauldrons, ancient languages. Even if you've never studied witchcraft, these images may trigger awe or fear. Why? They were once tools of your trade, and possibly the reasons you were targeted. If this resonates with you, let me know in the comments below. And then there are the dreams. Waking up with a racing heart after visions of being chased, bound, judged, or dreams where you're hiding something precious, herbs, books, knowledge. Often those with past life memories of persecution experience these as the soul's way, of trying to integrate what was never healed. Lastly, a deep compassion for those who are outcast. If you instinctively protect the misunderstood, the eccentric, the spiritually attuned, it may be because you once were them. You know what it's like to be misread. You feel the sting of invisibility, and now you won't let it happen on your watch. These signs may feel subtle, but they point to something profound. You are not broken. You are remembering ancient wisdom, modern body. How spiritual memories live in your nervous system. Have you ever felt your heart race or your throat tighten during moments that logically made no sense? Perhaps a gentle conversation suddenly made your palms sweat, or someone asked you to speak in a circle, and your whole body screamed no before your mind could even catch up. That might not be anxiety. It might be memory. Buddhism reminds us that the body is not separate from the mind, and neither are separate from consciousness. This means that our bodies are sacred carriers, not just of DNA, but of karma, imprint, and spiritual history. What happened to you before can live in your tissues now. When a past life included persecution for spiritual practices, that trauma doesn't just disappear when the body dies. It encodes into what some Buddhist teachers call the subtle body, an energetic blueprint that travels with the soul. And when you're reborn, that blueprint influences your new body's sensitivities, reactions, and fears. Micro cliffhanger. So if your body reacts like it's in danger, even when you're just lighting a candle or meditating with others, could it be a sacred alarm from centuries ago? Modern science is catching up to this ancient knowing. The study of somatic trauma shows us that unprocessed emotional pain doesn't just haunt our thoughts, it nests in our muscles, fascia, and nervous system. That frozen feeling in your chest. That could be the echo of holding your breath as you were dragged to trial. That pain in your neck. Maybe it's not just physical tension, but the lingering memory of a rope. And here's what's wild. Even if you don't consciously remember your past life, your body might. It flinches before you speak your truth. It tenses when you step into your power, not because you're weak, but because it remembers what happened last time. Mini insight. Your hesitation is not your failure. It's your nervous system trying to protect you from an ancient danger that no longer exists. The beauty is, the more we bring compassion to these reactions, the more we begin to untangle them. Buddhism teaches us that mindfulness, the gentle awareness of our inner world, is the first step toward liberation. So next time you feel that panic rise when you go to share something mystical or powerful, pause, breathe, place your hand on your heart and whisper, "That was then. This is now." Because you're not being hunted anymore. You're being asked to rise. If you were once persecuted for your spiritual gifts, it's natural to wonder, why would I come back? Why would a soul willingly return to a world that once betrayed it? The Buddhist perspective offers a profound answer. Because the desire to awaken is stronger than the fear of pain. Because even in suffering, the soul seeks wholeness. And because some souls make vows, not for themselves but for others, you may have chosen to come back not just to heal your wounds, but to help others heal theirs. This is the path of the Bodhisattva, the being who delays full enlightenment to return again and again, out of compassion for those still suffering. It's not martyrdom, it's sacred service. And many who feel they were witches in past lives are walking this path whether they realize it or not. What if your return is no accident? What if you chose to be born in this time, when ancient wisdom is being rediscovered, when spiritual expression is freer than ever, so that you could finally live the life that was once stolen from you? Mini takeaway: you didn't come back to hide. You came back to complete the work you started long ago. This is your soul contract, that deep pull you feel toward helping others, that unshakable sense that you're here for something more. That's not fantasy, that's memory. You've done this before. But now the tools have changed. You don't need a cauldron or a forest clearing, though you're welcome to use them. What you need is your voice, your intuition, your trust in what cannot always be seen but can always be felt. And here's something powerful to remember. The pain you carry is not your enemy, it's your compass. It points to the places where your soul still longs to be free. If this idea speaks to your journey, give this video a like so it reaches others who need it. You may find yourself returning to spiritual teachings without knowing why, or feeling an irresistible draw to Reiki, tarot, herbalism, astrology. These aren't new hobbies, they're old friends, old languages your soul never forgot. And maybe, just maybe, you chose to come back now because the world finally has ears to hear you, because this time your voice won't end in silence, it will ripple outward and awaken others. You didn't return to relive the fire, you returned to rise from it. There's a quiet shame that many spiritually sensitive people carry. It's not loud, it doesn't announce itself, but it lives deep, like a low hum of self-doubt that whispers, "Who am I to know this? Who am I to lead, to heal, to shine?" This guilt can manifest in many ways. You might downplay your intuition, shrink your knowledge, question your inner voice every time it speaks. Or worse, you may feel unworthy of your own spiritual path, like you have to earn the right to be connected to something sacred. Where does this guilt come from? Buddhist wisdom points us inward. It teaches that suffering often arises when the heart believes something false. And one of the most harmful illusions passed down through time is this, that it's dangerous to be spiritual, that it's selfish or shameful or even evil. If you were a mystic in a past life, especially one who was harmed for their gifts, this message may have sunk deep into your soul's memory. You may still carry the belief, "I was wrong to shine." Mini insight. Guilt is not always about what you did wrong. It's often about what happened to you when you were right. This kind of spiritual guilt can be especially hard to name because it disguises itself as humility. But true humility allows you to shine without arrogance. Guilt, on the other hand, dims you before you even step into the light. Have you ever felt uncomfortable when someone compliments your insight? Or hesitated to share a dream or download because it felt too much? That's not modesty, that's residue, and it needs clearing. If this resonates with you, let me know in the comments below. This is where Buddhist compassion becomes medicine. You are not guilty for having gifts. You are not guilty for surviving. You are not guilty for returning to complete the sacred work your soul began lifetimes ago. It's time to forgive yourself for being silenced, for being afraid, even for forgetting who you were, because now you remember, you're not here to be burned. You're here to be brilliant, remembering the gifts, what your soul never forgot. Despite the fear, despite the guilt, despite the lifetimes of silence, your soul has remembered. There are moments, aren't there, when something mystical flows through you effortlessly? A sudden knowing, a sense of timing, a word you speak that shifts someone's entire energy. And you didn't learn it, you just knew. That's not coincidence. That's memory. Buddhism teaches that our consciousness is layered. There's the thinking mind, the emotional mind, and then the deep mind, the alaya vijnana, or storehouse consciousness. This is where our soul's memories are kept, not in language but in symbols, instincts, callings, your connection to the moon, your intuitive sense when someone is lying, your ability to feel what others are feeling. These aren't random sensitivities, they're spiritual skills carried through time. Mini takeaway: you didn't just survive persecution, you carried the magic with you, and now it's waking up. People who were mystics, healers, or seers in past lives often find their gifts returning in strange, powerful ways. You might pick up a deck of oracle cards and feel like you've used them before. You might start working with herbs and instinctively know which ones soothe grief or calm anxiety. The more you lean into these practices, the more natural they feel. That's not beginner's luck, that's soul fluency. You may also find yourself becoming a magnet for people in pain. Strangers tell you their life stories. Friends come to you for guidance even if you've never advertised yourself as a guide. This isn't random. They feel your wisdom even if you don't yet. And here's something wild to consider. Your dreams, those vivid visions or nighttime journeys, they may not be fantasy. They might be fragments of soul memory, glimpses into the temples, forests, or altars where you once practiced. If this idea speaks to your journey, give this video a like so it reaches others who need it. The modern world may not call you a witch, but that doesn't mean the magic is gone. Your soul has remembered the rituals, the rhythms, the responsibility of spiritual work, and it's whispering to you now, in the quiet moments, in the things that light you up, in the parts of yourself you're still too shy to share. But guess what? You don't need permission. You already are what you're waiting to become. Fear is a powerful teacher. And if you've carried the fear of persecution, rejection, or exposure, it's because something sacred within you once met the fire. But fear is not your enemy, it's your invitation. What if the same fear that kept you silent is now asking you to speak? What if it's not here to stop you, but to test if you're ready? In Buddhist tradition, transformation doesn't happen through rejection of pain, but through presence with it. We don't fight the darkness, we sit with it, breathe with it, listen to it, and slowly it reveals its gift. Your fear of being too spiritual is the doorway to embodying your true role, the wisdom keeper, not a performer, not a trend follower, but someone who holds sacred space, who remembers what matters and passes it on quietly, consistently, bravely. Mini insight: every time you face your fear and speak your truth, you rewrite the karma of silence. You're no longer a witch hiding from torches. You're a guide holding a lantern, and the power you once feared, it's not gone. It's just been waiting for you to stop apologizing for it. This transformation happens in tiny moments, when you say yes to your intuition, when you light a candle, with intention, when you comfort someone not with advice but with presence. It also happens when you stop needing to explain your beliefs to people who don't understand, not from arrogance, but from clarity. A wisdom keeper doesn't need to convince. Their life shows. If this resonates with you, let me know in the comments below. Your voice doesn't have to be loud. It just has to be true. And when you live from that place, when your actions align with your soul's memory, you don't just heal your own past. You send ripples into the collective. You become a sacred interrupter of old cycles, a weaver of new stories. The world doesn't need more fear, it needs more people like you, awake, ancient, and unafraid. Being silenced leaves more than just a quiet mouth. It leaves a scar on the soul, a belief that speaking is dangerous, that truth must be hidden. That power invites punishment. And this wound, when left unhealed, can shape a life of smallness. But healing is possible. Buddhism reminds us that suffering is not permanent. Everything is impermanent, including pain, fear, and the karmic impressions they leave behind. With presence and intention, we can unearth the wounds of lifetimes and meet them with a medicine we didn't have before: compassion. The first step to healing the wound of being silenced is to listen to the silence itself. Sit with it. Feel what it holds. Is it grief, rage, regret, shame? These are not emotions to push away. They are visitors from your past selves, asking to be seen at last. Mini takeaway. The silence inside you isn't empty. It's full of messages waiting to be heard. Many spiritually sensitive people carry an old heartbreak that says they didn't believe me, or they turned on me, or worse, I let them take my light. But here's the truth. Your light was never taken. It was buried. And you, right now, are the one brave enough to dig it up. That process may look like speaking your truth even when your voice shakes, writing what you're afraid to say aloud, honoring your spiritual path even if no one in your family understands it, or simply whispering, "I'm safe now," to the version of you that still flinches in the dark. If this idea speaks to your journey, give this video a like so it reaches others who need it. Buddhist teacher Thich Nhat Hanh once said, "To heal is to touch with love that which we previously touched with fear." So touch your voice with love, touch your memories with love, touch your past self, the one who was accused, who was afraid, who was punished, not as a victim, but as a sacred teacher, because the wound you carry is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign that you lived, you loved, you practiced something powerful, and now you get to live again. But this time, with choice. Ritual is not just ceremony, it's remembrance. It's the way your soul speaks through action. It's how the invisible becomes visible, how inner knowing takes shape in the outer world. And for those who feel they were once mystics, healers, or witches, ritual is the bridge between lifetimes. You don't need a wand or a spell book to reclaim your power. You need intention. You need presence. You need a moment, any moment, where you stop and say, "This is sacred." Mini insight. The sacred doesn't demand drama. It lives in the ordinary, when you give it your attention, light a candle, and breathe deeply. Bless your food with gratitude. Place a hand on your heart before you speak. These small rituals are ancient in their essence. They tell your nervous system, "I am safe to be spiritual now." And each time you do one, you rewrite the story your soul has carried. You tell the part of you that remembers the fire, the trial, the fear. This time we are free. Many people feel intimidated by ritual, thinking it has to be complex or perfect. But that pressure comes from the very systems that once tried to control spiritual access. Real ritual is yours to define. It is personal, emotional, sacred because you say it is. If this resonates with you, let me know in the comments below. Ritual also grounds energy. It keeps your spiritual experiences embodied. That's especially important for those who have been disembodied by trauma, who left their bodies long ago to survive. So reclaim your space. Create an altar, write affirmations, walk barefoot on the earth. Speak to your ancestors, your guides, your past selves, rebuild trust. And remember, you are not doing this for performance, you are doing it for peace. In Buddhist tradition, even sweeping the floor is a ritual when done mindfully. What matters is not the act, but the awareness behind it. So begin with one practice. One small ritual that feels like home. Because every time you return to it, you return to yourself. Simple ways to reclaim your past life wisdom. Now that we've explored the soul-deep signs and spiritual echoes, let's bring this wisdom down into your daily life. Here are 7 gentle but powerful practices to help you reclaim your mystical roots and heal the imprints of past life persecution. Create a daily grounding ritual. Choose one moment each day to center yourself. Light a candle, place a hand on your heart, and take 3 conscious breaths. As you do, silently affirm, "I am safe in my truth." This small act retrains your nervous system to associate spiritual expression with safety, not danger. Keep a soul memory journal. Start documenting your dreams, strange fears, recurring symbols, and intuitive nudges. Over time, patterns will emerge, clues from your past self surfacing in the present. This helps validate your experience and deepens your trust in your inner knowing. Speak one truth per day. Each day, say something that feels honest but slightly uncomfortable. It could be sharing a spiritual belief, setting a boundary, or expressing an intuitive insight. This is how you rewire the silencing pattern through micro moments of brave truth. Work with the elements. Reintroduce earth, air, fire, and water into your spiritual life. Touch soil, burn incense, listen to wind, bless your bathwater. These elements are the timeless tools of every mystic. They help reconnect you with lifetimes of sacred work. Use breath as a portal. When fear or hesitation arises, don't fight it. Instead, breathe into it. Buddhist breathwork practices like anapanasati, mindful breathing, can help you stay present with old emotions as they rise, transforming them into fuel for clarity and courage. Bless your voice before speaking your truth. Gently touch your throat and say, "It is safe for me to be heard." This soft ritual honors the past while activating your power in the present. With repetition, it becomes an invocation of strength. Reclaim your symbol. Was there a symbol in this video that stirred something in you? A moon, a flame, a black cat, a herbal sprig? Adopt it. Wear it. Draw it. Place it on your altar. Let it serve as a talisman that reminds you, I am not broken. I am ancient. Mini insight. Healing doesn't have to be dramatic. It just has to be intentional. With these practices, you're not only remembering who you were, you're stepping fully into who you are, and you're doing it without fear. Because this lifetime, it's different. This time, you get to choose. There's something sacred about the moment you realize you've been here before. Not just in body, but in soul. All the strange fears, the mystical pull, the unexplainable wisdom, they weren't coincidences. They were breadcrumbs laid by your past self, waiting for the moment you were ready to follow them. And now, you've walked through lifetimes of silence, of fire, of forgetting. But even then, even when you hid your light to survive, your soul never gave up. It just waited, patiently, for this moment, for you. In Buddhist philosophy, awakening isn't an escape. It's a return to the truth that was always within you. And this truth, you are not just someone who was a witch, a healer, a wisdom keeper. You still are. Mini insight. What you feared was never your power. It was the world's reaction to it. That time has passed. Now you lead, you guide, you heal. Not just others, but your own lineage of selves. And as you do, remember, you're not doing this alone. Thousands of others are waking up too, remembering old paths, reclaiming lost magic, becoming the elders they once were. We are rising again, together. If you felt seen or remembered in this video, I'd love to hear your story in the comments. Your voice might be exactly what someone else needs, if you want to continue on this path of awakening, reclaiming, and healing. Like this video to support the message. Subscribe for more soul-aligned wisdom, and watch this next video. The signs you were a monk or nun in a past life. Why you still seek solitude and silence. A perfect spiritual continuation. Because in this life, we're not here to be burned, we're here to be brilliant. And your light, dear one, is ancient. Welcome back.